protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
I'm a sausage guy.
Yeah, that butcher shop with the juicy breasts. I like that.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
I have always liked Florida State.
And now I do realize why people don't like Florida Gator fans. So if you're going to blow it out, just blow it out. But Shad Khan, the owner, didn't see it that way.
Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Friday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM. Our first Friday night show in a long time. We did the Thursday Night Lights high school postgame last night as all the Duval County schools played on Thursday because of Florida, Georgia. So glad to be back with you on a Friday for Hacker After Dark. We are obviously loaded. It is an incredible weekend coming up starting tomorrow. Florida State Wake Forest at high noon in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And then, of course, the cocktail party here in Jacksonville. Shout out to all you guys, gals in RV City that I'm sure are getting after it right now. Let me get a Go Gators. Let me get a hunker down Dogs there in RV City, as it is going to be a big one tomorrow here in Jacksonville. And then the Jaguars and the Steelers in Pittsburgh on Sunday. So we have quite the two-day stretch of football beginning tomorrow at high noon. Guest lineup looks like this. Less than 15 minutes away, former Jaguar wide receiver Cecil Shorts will stop by the program to preview the Jaguars and the Steelers. Coming up in about 35 minutes, right about 8:40 or so, former Florida Gator All-American tight end Ben Troop will come on to preview the cocktail party between the Gators and the Dogs. So as we do every night to kick it off here on Hacker After Dark, we give you a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Admittedly, this is not the biggest sample size, but heck, websites like Pro Football Talk did a sample size of 500 people and went with it. So what the heck, I will as well. I put a poll out on 1010XL on my Twitter handle. Bigger level of excitement this weekend. Florida, Georgia, or Jaguar Steelers? 300 people voted in it. By the way, you can still vote at Ryan Green 1010XL if you so choose. 300 people voted. 87% of those 300 people said Jaguar Steelers, bigger level of excitement. It's the cocktail party tomorrow. But it's the first time the Jaguars have been good during cocktail party week since 2017. They were 4-3, by the way, in 2017. And it's only the second time since 2011 that the Jaguars have had a winning record when Florida and Georgia was played. Think about that for a moment. That is pathetic and also fascinating. Going back 13 years, Florida, Georgia being played here in Jacksonville, this is only the second time the Jaguars during Florida, Georgia week have been above 500. Twice in 13 seasons. Yikes. We'll get to Jaguar Steelers in a moment. To Florida, Georgia, Florida tomorrow here in Jacksonville. I'm picking the Dogs to win. I'm not breaking any news there. That's not some revelation. Everybody that I know is basically picking Georgia to win. But as I told you Gator fans earlier this week, you realistic Gator fans, to me, picking Florida to win tomorrow based on what we know about the Gators, what we know about the Dogs, is probably unrealistic. What is realistic, however, is Florida should expect to be in this game. This is not an unbeatable Georgia team like they were last year or like they were in 2021. Look, Florida was not beating Georgia in 2021. It was not going to happen. Florida was not going to win last year. It simply was not going to happen. This year, I don't expect it to happen. But this is not Georgia of 2022 or even 2021. Yeah, I know they're 7-0 and they're number 1 in the country. Have you watched them? Auburn is terrible. Terrible. Auburn was beating Georgia in the fourth quarter. South Carolina is awful. South Carolina was up 10 on Georgia at halftime. Vanderbilt, we all know how bad Vandy is. That was a one-possession game midway through the third quarter. If Vanderbilt, South Carolina, and Auburn can hang around with the Dogs to middle, late third quarter or even the fourth quarter, that is absolutely what Florida should be able to do tomorrow. And if a bounce goes here, a penalty goes there, who knows? I don't expect Georgia to lose the game. Georgia's got more talent than the Gators. But this is not a Georgia team that is unbeatable. This is a Georgia team that's very good. It's a Georgia team that I expect to win the game. But my expectation is also for Florida to be in the game. This should not be a blowout. If Georgia blows Florida out, that is bad for the Gators. That is a bad look. Because other than Kentucky, Georgia has not blown out any SEC opponent to this point. I like Georgia 31-23. I would absolutely take Florida and the 14.5. No moral victories for the Gators. I get it. Gator fans, you're not interested in moral victories, and I don't blame you. You shouldn't be. But if you do play the Dogs tough, it will show you where you are in reaching your goal of catching Georgia. If you get blown out tomorrow, that would be a setback. To Sunday and the Jaguars. Former Jaguar wide receiver Cecil Shorts, less than 10 minutes away. Thank you, George Pickens, former Georgia Bulldog wide receiver. Thank you for running your mouth. Hope defense. The Jaguar defense is a hope defense. They're not very good. They just need to hope things go their way. All right. That has absolutely made its way to the Jaguar locker room. If there was any question about 10 days off after New Orleans and an additional 14 days off after this game in Pittsburgh, maybe Jaguars taking their foot off the gas a little bit, right? One game in 23 days. George Pickens pretty much put an end to that. I think they're going to show you a hope defense on Sunday. Pittsburgh, they're 4-2. I can't believe they're 4-2. Their numbers are awful. Maybe I'm too much of a stats guy. Their stats are awful, except in the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh finds ways to win in the fourth quarter. They'll get a timely turnover. Something will go their way. Jaguar fans, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to understand, and your Sunday will be much better off. Just understand going in that at some point in that game on Sunday, hopefully not the fourth quarter, but at some point, TJ Watt will strip Trevor Lawrence of the ball. There will be a fumble. It will either be a scoop and score for Pittsburgh or they will recover it deep in Jacksonville territory, and it will result in a touchdown. That is going to happen. Accept that as reality. At some point, the Jaguars will have a strip sack by TJ Watt or potentially Highsmith, and Minkah Fitzpatrick or somebody will pick it up and score. And if you know that going in, then it won't be as bad when it happens, because it's going to happen. Can the Jaguars overcome it? They're going to need to. Pittsburgh does it every game. An interception, a fumble, that defense does something like that every single game, which is why they win. Know that going in, it's going to happen. Can the Jaguars overcome it? Because they're going to need to. I believe they will be able to overcome that. They are better than Pittsburgh. They have the better quarterback. They have the better skill position players. They have a defense that rivals Pittsburgh. They've had more takeaways than Pittsburgh. And you got a Steeler team like George Pickens that's running their mouth about the Jaguars. You add all that up, I don't know how, but I think Jacksonville will find a way to win the game by a touchdown. It'll be close. You're not going to blow them out in Pittsburgh. I think the Jaguars find a way to win. But just know going in that Pittsburgh defense will cause a big turnover. The Jaguars will need to overcome that. Again, I believe they will, and I believe Jacksonville wins. So I will take Florida State over Wake Forest tomorrow. I will take Georgia in a close one over the Gators. And I will take the Jaguars in a close one over the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are absolutely jam-packed. We're with you till 10 o'clock. Let's kick it off with former Jaguar wide receiver Cecil Shorts. Let's talk Jags. Let's talk Steelers. Let's do it next. Hacker After Dark on a Friday night before the world's largest outdoor cocktail party and a Friday night before a weekend that includes the 5-2 Jaguars and the 4-2 Steelers. By the way, both games will be heard right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Former Jaguar Cecil Shorts next on Hacker After Dark.
Knee deep in Duval.
Duval.
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Are you afraid to buy your next car? Well, have no fear because Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet offer Beaver's not-so-scary pricing. There's no monsters popping up in your rearview mirror with Beaver's peace of mind warranties. Check out thousands of vehicles for sale online and get answers to all your questions with no tricks and all the treats. I promise our team will take away all those fears. Just come see Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville for Beaver's not-so-scary pricing.
Visionaries, builders, and doers, are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Come on, admit it. Almost everyone you know seems to be playing pickleball now, right? So whether you just want to learn how to play or you're ready to show off your elite pickleball skills, the Y is the place for you. Visit our brand new McGuire Family Pickleball Center at the Brown Family YMCA in Ponte Vedra Beach. 5 top quality outdoor courts and 3 amazing indoor courts where you can learn about dinks, dill ball, falafel, the kitchen, and more pickleball slang at the Y.
Pastor Joby Martin here with the Church of 1122. We are honored once again to partner with the Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Florida for the Great Futures Weekend, which includes golf and Mackenzie's 5K run at the esteemed TPC Stadium course. Help us continue to honor Mackenzie Wilson's legacy. That's Friday and Saturday, November 17th and 18th. You can golf or you can run. It'll be a great time. Additional info at MackenzieRun.org. Proceeds go to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On October 27, 1984, Washington State University's running back Reuben Mays sets a collegiate football record of 357 rushing yards in one game.
Hacker here, and look, football season is in full swing, and no game day setup is complete without the Sausage Dude sausage. I'm a sausage guy, and the Sausage Dude sausage is the best sausage I've ever had. Try their 4 terrific flavors, including Polish, Hungarian, beer bratwurst with jalapeno, and my personal favorite, the Italian today, by picking them up at any Publix in the Jacksonville area. Football and sausage, it's a winning combination. Go get the Sausage Dude sausage at any Publix in the Jacksonville area right now.
This is your Mad Dads Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. Mad Dads is asking for good, committed men who want to be part of an organization that has been around for 17 years. We are a group that is part of the solution, not the problem. We are a group that don't stand around murmuring and complaining, but get into action and hit the streets to get the community to break the code of silence to remove the murderers off our streets. We do not require a lot of time, just willing and able bodies to get involved. We've had far too many murders this year already not to get involved. If you want to be part of this great organization, call 904-718-1649. We're looking for men, not men acting like boys. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. For information about Mad Dad, go to Mad Dads Jacksonville Chapter Facebook or MadDadsJacksonville.com.
Here's Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
Your high school girls can join the Duval Tides girls rugby team. No tryouts and no experience necessary. Learn everything you need to know at Jack's HS Girls Rugby on Facebook and Instagram.
The Knights of Columbus 5535 annual golf tournament is November 6th at Glen Kernan Country Club. To find out how to play or sponsor, call 249-5535.
You can play golf with Josh Scobie and other former Jaguars players and celebrities while raising money for the First Tee. November 13th at Deerwood Country Club's First Tee Open.
To walk in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Light the Night Walk on November 16th at UNF. Register at lightthennight.org.
Your love can give pets a purpose. To adopt a loving animal from the Jacksonville Humane Society, call 725-8766.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Prepare for the return of Valor Bare Knuckle 2, the true bare knuckle boxing platform, as they step back into the limelight for an exciting night of combat sports. Founded by legendary MMA fighter Ken Shamrock. Tonight at 7 at UNF Arena. Get your tickets today at ValorBK.com or at the UNF Arena box office. Valor Bare Knuckle 2. Tonight, live at UNF Arena.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. It is a Friday evening, and we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Steelers, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear it right here on 1010XL, and what is now a very big game in the AFC, the 5-2 Jaguars and the 4-2 Pittsburgh Steelers. With that, let me welcome in my friend Cecil Shorts, former wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's with us every week here on Hacker After Dark. Cecil, how you doing?
I'm well, brother. Good to hear your voice again. It's been a minute.
Yeah, look, and the team keeps winning, Cecil. Take us inside the mindset of a player. 4 wins in a row. That's not something to sneeze at, man. That's pretty impressive, is it not?
It's very impressive, and I think how they've done it has been the most impressive to me. 2 games overseas in London, even though it's a home game for you, it's not at home, right? And then coming back and playing that Sunday after you just leave London. So that's 3, and then win on a short week after that on a Thursday night. So like how the logistics of everything, how they're able to persevere, come through, be resilient, play well enough to win those games and win 4 in a row. As a player, you're like, hey, we can do all this traveling, have all these logistics, and play here, play there, play Thursday night, short week here, and then go out and win and play good ball. You know, I feel like we can beat anybody. So, like, as a player, you're standing, you're feeling pretty high right now. You're feeling pretty good. And you beat some decent teams. And then, you know, you got a big one this week. Like you mentioned, a big AFC matchup with a 4-2 Steelers. But you're feeling pretty good as a player. You're feeling pretty confident. Are you perfect? No, but you feel confident you can win each and every game that you go into. And that's all you can ask for.
Cecil, certainly want to talk about this Pittsburgh game, but quickly rewinding back to last week. Trevor Lawrence last week played on an injured knee. He wore a knee brace. When you see your quarterback go out there, lead the team in rushing, knowing he's battling an injury, I mean, what does that do for the rest of the team?
You know what? As a fan, I'm like, no. I'm like, no. I didn't want to play. I'm like, no. It's not worth it. It's the NFC opponent. I think me and you texted a little bit about it. We're like, no, I don't want to see him. But as a player, knowing he's banged up, and as a player, you know the severity of it, right? The media may not know, or you may hear rumblings, but as a player, you see him day in and day out, getting the toe coats up, getting treatment, him grimacing in pain. You see him in practice where he's limited or what he's going through, whatever the case may be. For him to fight through all that and then go out there and play on a short week, he just won his team over. If he didn't already, he just won his team over. He's proving that he's a leader. He's proving, hey, I'm here to be the guy. I know I'm the franchise guy. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to play well. And he played good enough. He was 20 for 29, 200-something yards, a touchdown, led the team in rushing. Like, that's a big deal. Led the team in rushing with a messed up knee, with an injured knee on a short week. That speaks volumes to the team. That speaks volumes to the management there. That speaks volumes to, hey, this guy's the real deal. This guy's going to give it up and give it all for what we have going on. And it's just a gain of respect for him. So he definitely, for sure, if he, like I said, didn't win over the locker room already, he's won that locker room over just from a respect factor.
Former Jaguar wide receiver Cecil Shorts. Cecil, another thought on Trevor. You know, he's not the most vocal guy, right? But every once in a while, he'll say something on social media when something's on his mind. Even after they beat New Orleans last week, and even after they went to 5-2, you saw Richard Sherman, right, on Thursday Night Football have some comments about Trevor and the team not looking pretty, not being generational. Chris Broussard on FS1 had some things to say about the Jaguars. And so I think Trevor on Saturday had enough. And he goes on social media and basically calls out the analysts. You guys keep saying whatever you want. We'll just keep finding ways to win. You like a quarterback, right, with a little bit of that attitude, a little bit of that moxie.
You love a quarterback with some attitude. You love a quarterback with some attitude, period. He hears the noise, and sometimes you got to address the noise. As quiet as he is, he's not extremely vocal. He's not going to, have the Cam Newton tweets or the Cam Newton signature in the comments on Instagram. He is going to be himself, but he was tired of it. And again, he's winning his team over. He's saying he doesn't give a crap what you think about him, what you think about the team. We just won 4 straight. And I just gave you all the logistics. Playing in London 2 weeks in a row, coming back from London, basically like a short week, coming back from London, your body's still on London time, and you figure out a way to win that game. And then you come play on a short night and win with an injured knee, battling that all week on a Thursday night. Like, to me, if I'm a receiver in there, if I'm a DB, if I'm a lineman in there, and he plays, right, that's awesome, but then he speaks up for the team, oh, man, that's my leader. That's my leader. I'm going to war for him. He cares about me. He's stepping up. He's criticizing the critics for coming at us. He got our back. He's all in. So for me, man, listen, I love that. It makes me excited. And as a team, as a player, as a coach, it's like, yeah, buddy, that's our guy. I'll go to war for him. No doubt about it.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like the Jaguars felt that way in the locker room this week when they were asked about some of Trevor's comments. Final thought before we look ahead, and it's about the offense. Cecil, you played a lot of games in this league as a wide receiver, so you're the perfect person to ask. All right, this Jaguar offense at times looks like the greatest show on turf, right? They look unstoppable. Mm-hmm. And then other times they'll have 3 or 4 consecutive 3-and-outs, and there's not a lot of gray area, man. It's like they're either really good or you're just shaking your head like what are they doing? I mean, what's the story with that in your opinion?
I'm still trying to figure out myself. I'm looking last week against the Saints in 3rd down. I think they were like 3 and 13 or something crazy. You have to be consistent on offense, right? If you look at the very first drive of the game, 5 for 6 from Trevor Lawrence, driving down the field, scored touchdown. Same thing against the Colts the week before, driving downfield, scored touchdown. And it's not going to happen every time, right? But you need to be consistently good. And they have to find a way to be more consistent on offense, whether that's with the running game, whether that's just more play action, whether that's, finding holes in the defense, whatever it is, they have to be more consistent. And that's what's going to help propel this team to be more of a show on turf, more likely, right? So they got to figure out how to do it, when to do it. But if they can do that, they can be a dangerous team because, honestly, the defense looks really good right now. Creating turnovers, getting sacks, whatever the case may be. But the offense needs to be more consistent, and they got to find some more help in the run game. Because even though Etienne is awesome, I get worried about his load. And maybe I'm thinking too much on it, right? But I get worried about his load. I don't want Trevor leading the team in rushing. Etienne is awesome and plays outstanding, but at the same time, how long can he do it? He's not the biggest body, whatever the case may be. So maybe that's the thing they can work on, but you got to find consistency in the offense. And if you do that, I think you're all right.
Former Jaguar wide receiver Cecil Shorts. I completely agree with you, by the way. They got to do something because Etienne is on pace to carry the ball 320 times or something. So I agree. Something needs to be done there. All right, that brings us to this week, and here's what's interesting, and you alluded to it. Cecil, they played 4 games in 19 days, 2 in London, 1 in Jacksonville, a short week to New Orleans. It was crazy. But now you've kind of taken a deep breath, right? You've kind of decompressed a little bit. It will be 10 days between New Orleans and Pittsburgh. And then, Cecil, they don't play again for 14 days because they have the bye next week. So you're talking about one game in 23 days. Is there any concern you have that maybe the foot has come off the gas a little bit heading into Pittsburgh on Sunday?
Not to Pittsburgh on Sunday. I think it was needed, right? Anybody that has been traveling that much, playing that many games in that many days, you need a full body rest. So that extra 3 days they got preparing or just being able to rest until this upcoming Sunday is a blessing. That's something they needed. If they would have played on a regular Sunday and not have that Thursday night, that would have been extremely tough. So I think the extra days is helping. I'm not worried about them being off. I think this momentum is going to continue. I think, just being honest, the comments being said by Trevor is going to help motivate. I think these guys are playing at a good enough level. They can feel really confident going into this week, this Sunday, and I think it's going to carry over to the game.
You were a Jaguar for 4 years, which means you prepared for games for 4 years when the world's largest outdoor cocktail party was getting ready to be played in downtown Jacksonville. From a former Jaguar perspective, what was your thought on preparing for a game amidst the Florida-Georgia festivities outside the stadium?
You know what? I was, if I'm honest, I was jealous because the whole focus was Georgia, Florida all week. That's what everybody in the city was talking about. That's what everybody's traveling down to Jacksonville for. That's what the whole stadium, the people inside the stadium are preparing for. And it's like, we got to leave for this college team, these two college teams to come in. And the focus is not even on us. Now, just to be honest, we weren't good at the time I was there. So I get it. We weren't nothing to be happy about. But it's just like, daggone, man. I hate when they come to town because then we got to leave town. So it was just just me being jealous, just being honest. But it brings a lot of people to the city, which is a good thing for the city. But it was a hassle being a player and having to move around, and you see everybody working so hard for them. So it has its pros and cons, I guess.
You know, it's interesting you say that because, yeah, you said it. I didn't have to. You guys weren't exactly the best win-loss record at the time. I got to tell you, Cecil, this week, and I've lived in Jacksonville 28 years of my 40 years on Earth. Man, there's a lot of excitement about the Jaguar Steelers. People are still excited about the cocktail party, don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of excitement about this game on Sunday up in Pittsburgh, which brings me to that. You have played in that environment in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. What are the Jaguars going into on Sunday afternoon with that fan base?
Man, this is one of the most, I call them like one of the blue bloods of the NFL, right? No matter where you go, they're going to pack the house out. You can be, like if they would have played them in London, it would have been Steelers fans all through there. There are a blue blood. People love Pittsburgh. So that stadium in Heinz Field is going to be nuts. Once the fourth quarter hit and those yellow tiles start coming around, they start playing that music, whatever song that is, it's going to be nuts, right? It's a great environment to play in. It's fun to play in, but they got to be prepared for it. It's going to be a fun game. And that team, for whatever reason, I don't even know how they're 4-2. I really don't know how they're 4-2. They don't seem that good, and then all of a sudden they figure out a way to win, right? They keep doing it over and over again. But it's going to be a crazy environment. They're 4-2. They're sitting. The AFC North is tough. The AFC is tough. But the AFC North, I believe it's 4-2 with them. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Baltimore got 4 wins. I think Cleveland has 4 wins now. Cincinnati is good. So that's a tough division, important game, not only for Jacksonville, but for Pittsburgh to stay in the hunt as well.
Yeah, amazingly, Cincinnati's in last place in that division right now, if you can believe that, at 3-3. That's how good that division is. And the Jaguars, by the way, play all 4 of them over the next 6 or 7 weeks. So it's a daunting task. All right, a daunting task as well as T.J. Watt. Now, Anton Harrison, the rookie at right tackle, has played a lot better since Chris Jones welcomed him to the NFL in Week 2. But, Cecil, one of the big talking points here this week is what do you do about T.J. Watt, particularly with Trevor in that knee brace again on Sunday?
Man, you're going to have to – I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's both edges. It's T.J. Watt and it's Highsmith. You know, Highsmith had 16.5 sacks last year. It's like close to $200 million they put in those 2 guys to rush the passer. So those guys are coming. That's the strength of their defense is the 2 outside backers. So what you have to do on the offensive side of the ball is you have to have your running backs chipping the ends. You have to have your extra tight ends in the game. You got to have put bodies on both outside linebackers, because what they're going to do is they're going to attack that rookie, and they're so confident in themselves. Pittsburgh has this, I wouldn't say arrogance, but I'm gonna call it an arrogance about themselves. Like, hey, we don't care who you are. We're going to play our style of ball, right? That's kind of what Mike Tomlin is. The standard is the standard. This is what we expect. So they're going to come out there and they're going to rush and they're going to come after Trevor. So you have to have those backs chipping on the outside backers or defensive ends. You have to have those tight ends in the game. You got to be in some 6-man, 7-man protection at times just to make sure your quarterback's upright and can see the field. And then you got to take advantage of those guys being aggressive and throw a screen on TJ's side. Even though he had a pick, I think 2 weeks ago, whatever the case may be, you want to pick on those ends. If they're coming up the field strong, okay, let's drop a nice little dump pass on that side to take advantage of those guys rushing the passer. So it's going to be a challenge for sure, but you got to have 6-7-man protection. You got to have backs and tight ends helping out. You got to use quick game and screens to your advantage.
Final moments here with former Jaguar wide receiver Cecil Shorts. Cecil, this could be a complete coincidence, but it's interesting nonetheless. Calvin Ridley's best 2 games this year, by far and away his best 2 games, are when Zay Jones was 100% healthy and out there with Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. In the games that Zay Jones has missed, Calvin has not put up near the numbers. Is that a coincidence, or is there something to that?
No, it's not a coincidence. When Zay is not there, they can focus more on Calvin, in my opinion. That's just what it is. They're like, okay, we'll let Christian Kirk get off. We'll let Evan Ingram kind of do his thing. But when you got Zay, Evan, and Christian out there, that's a different offense. Now you got more weapons to worry about. Now you got to play more true to the defense, because Zay can do whatever he can do outside or inside as well. But if you don't have that threat, they're like, we're going to completely take away Calvin. So I don't think that is a coincidence. I think it's strategy against the Jaguars, and it's not a knock on him. I know his numbers aren't what he probably would like them to be. But when you are the number 1 receiver, you're going to attract attention. And I think Trevor's doing a good job of not forcing the ball to him. I think we talked about it earlier in the year. Is he, are we forcing the ball? Are we trying to get him too many touches? No, just read the defense. If he's double covered, okay, you got enough people in other areas, enough talent in other areas to make plays here and there. So I think Trevor's doing a good job not forcing it and then letting it come. It's going to be a game where it's a couple of games. He's going to go for 150 and close to 200. Those games are coming. But you got to continue to use your other guys and not force them the ball and continue to stack up wins.
Cecil, final question, and then I want to get a prediction out of you. You think about the Jaguars at 5-2. They play Sunday, then they go into the bye week, all right? And you think about guys that haven't played this year due to injury or missed some games. Cam Robinson missed the first 4. Devon Hamilton hasn't played all year. DeJuan Smoot just came back. Zay Jones has only been healthy for 2 games. Walker Little has missed the last couple of games. Devin Lloyd missed a couple of games. Tyson Campbell missed the game last week. Probably won't play this week against Pittsburgh. They've had massive injury problems, and yet they're still 5-2. And if they go into Pittsburgh somehow and get the win, 6-2, 14 days off, and then you start getting some of these guys back, man, I'm not trying to get too far ahead of the story here, but the second half could be a lot of fun.
You're putting yourself in good position. If you can go, even if you're 5-3, but say you go 6-2 with Devin Smith and all those names that you mentioned, you have an opportunity to make your team extremely better, right? Devin Lloyd, I'm sorry, I said Devin Smith. You have an opportunity to make your team extremely better. So now you're not just rolling into the bye week. I know you haven't played a lot of time. Those guys getting healthy over the bye week, those guys coming back, getting some reps in the games. Now you got some consistency in practice. You go out there, you get that continuity on the field. You got a chance to really, really be a top 4, top 3 seed in the AFC. You're talking getting bye week, right? Now you're talking about possibly getting a bye week come playoff time. So if you continue this stretch where they're playing extremely well right now, especially on the defensive side, and you continue to get more consistency on offense, and these guys are coming back and getting reps, you can have a special regular season the second half of the year. But I think you need to focus on this Sunday. It's going to be a tough task to try to win in Pittsburgh.
All right, Cecil, we got 90 seconds to go. It's a big game on Sunday. Who wins, the Jaguars or the Steelers?
I'm going Jags in ugly fashion because that's just how the Pittsburgh Steelers play. So I'm going to say Jaguars win a close one, 24-17. 24-17.
And look, if they go to New Orleans and then to Pittsburgh in 10 days and win both games and go to 6-2 into the bye week, whew, there will be some excitement here in Duval County. There is no question about that. Cecil Shorts, one of our favorites, former Jaguar wide receiver. He's with us here every week on Hacker After Dark. Cecil, next week we'll look back on the first 8 games, kind of decompress a little bit, and we'll preview the second half of the season. Have a great weekend, my friend. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, take care.
There you go. Cecil Shorts here with us every week on Hacker After Dark. And, yeah, I think it's going to be, 20-16, 23-17, that type of game. I like Jacksonville. But again, as I mentioned early on, just understand that the Pittsburgh defense at some point will get a strip sack fumble, will get an interception, and they'll score a defensive touchdown or set their offense up in the red zone. That crowd will be going nuts. And why do I think that's going to happen? Well, it happens seemingly every game for that Steeler defense. They're one of the most opportunistic defenses in the NFL. Can the Jaguars overcome a situation like that? I believe they will be able to, and I believe the Jaguars will win a close one in Pittsburgh on Sunday. Before we get there, we have the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I'm sure the festivities down in RV City are pretty thorough right now. Hope you guys, you gals have a terrific time out there tonight and certainly leading up to the game tomorrow. A guy that's played in many cocktail parties is my friend Ben Troop. He was an All-American tight end at the University of Florida. Let's talk Gators. Let's talk dogs with Ben Troop next. Friday night, Hacker After Dark. We're glad you're with us right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Share your life with 1010XL. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Oh, wait. I'm going to take a picture and post it on Facebook. What? Hashtag
1010XL.
The best time of the year for blue crabs right now at the Blue Crab Crab House. They've been open since 1996, and they are a staple here in Duval. Sundays, you have the Bloody Mary specials. Mimosas as well, $2.50 noon until 5 o'clock. Of course, each and every Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oysters. Right off of San Jose on Jewington Creek Road, it is the Blue Crab Crab House.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
What's the penalty in baseball for a fielder throwing his glove at a batted ball in fair territory and hitting it?
When you call Southern Oak and file a claim, you'll be handled by our hand-picked vendors who will analyze any roof, storm, or water damage. It'll save money for you.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
If a fielder throws his glove at a batted ball in fair territory and hits it, it's scored a ground rule triple.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Join Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida for their Beaches Barbecue Bash, November 2nd at ABBQ in Atlantic Beach. Enjoy food, drinks, cornhole, live music, and a live auction while impacting young people. Learn more at bgcnf.org/events.
Who's in, who's out, who's on Upset Watch.
Before the games begin, we'll fill you in on the Bueller Air Conditioning Saturday Kickoff, brought to you by Sonny's Barbecue.
The big games, the big matchups.
Get you ready for football Saturday.
On 1010XL.
Hey, Matt Hayes here. Expert Automotive is now open at our brand new state-of-the-art facility on St. John's Bluff Road. As always, every repair comes with a lifetime service repair warranty. Come celebrate our grand reopening by getting a free AC inspection, $50 off any repair, $199 brake specials, and free diagnostics all month long. Call 374-3373 or visit us at our new location at 2190 St. John's Bluff Road. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
Dan Hickett here for Bow 9 Associates. I want to remind you that now is the perfect time to schedule your eye exam. Take advantage of your existing insurance benefits before they reset in January. Join the many satisfied patients who trust Bow 9 with their vision. Schedule your eye exam now and enjoy the peace of mind that comes with clear and healthy eyes. And remember, your deductibles reset in January, so don't miss out on the benefits you've already earned. Bow 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
The IRS has just received $80 billion in funding to hire additional agents for aggressive collections enforcement. If you owe the IRS, now is the time to take action before the IRS comes after you or your business. There's no time to waste. Call J. David Tax Law, a firm right here in Jacksonville, for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777. Or visit jdavidtaxlaw.com. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away.
Do you feel a ghastly presence in your septic tank this Halloween? A septic emergency is spookier than a haunted house. But fear not. Duck Duck Rooter is here to rescue you from the depths of septic despair.
I'm Vlad, the Valiant Septic Tech, ready to cast out the demons from your septic system. If your toilet's acting possessed or your pipes are stirring up a witch's brew, we got the magic wand to fix it all.
Call Duck Duck Rooter at 904-862-6769 to schedule your septic tank pumping today.
Frank Franzi here for Stanley Pools. There's a reason so many of my friends and our listeners have had Stanley Pools build their pools and now maintain their pools, because Stanley Pools truly cares about their customers. Stanley Pools is locally owned and has been serving our community for 35 years. For all of your pool needs, call Stanley Pools at 269-7277. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools. 269-7277, or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com.
Ackerman Urology offers the most advanced options for improving men's health and vitality. Their board-certified urologists treat all prostate disease and sexual health issues. Call their new location at World Golf Village or visit AckermanUrology.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Florida, Georgia, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, Saturday at 3:30. The Dogs come in ranked number 1 in the country. Florida comes in maybe a little bit better than some people thought heading into the year. Let's get the Gator perspective on this matchup with a former All-American at the University of Florida. My friend Ben Troop was a terrific tight end for the Gators, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Ben, how you doing?
All right, man. Always good, man. We finally made it to this week of all weeks. I mean, Jacksonville is among us. Looking forward to what's 3:30 on Saturday afternoon.
Ben, 5-2 for the Gators. I think most Gator fans would have taken that at the beginning of the year. What's your thought on the 5-2 start so far?
I'm like you. I'm very impressed. I mean, obviously, you look at what Utah is and what it means to the Pac-12. I mean, they lost to us last year. They went on to win the Pac-12. You see how they've been a thorn in everybody's side, in the Pac-12 these days. Kentucky has had their number with Florida the last 3 years, real similar to they've been to Florida in the East, what LSU is in the West when it comes to not being able to beat those guys. But very, very impressed because Florida had to get a big. They had to get a big win under their belt. Billy Napier in particular did that at home against Tennessee. Bounced back from an ugly loss against Kentucky to go on the road against South Carolina, get a big win going into the bye week. I've been very impressed because the one question mark has never been a question mark, and that's Graham Mertz. The guy has been lights out since he's got on campus. Coach Armstrong has been really, really good. I just think for Florida, it's all about how you look going into the Georgia game or playing against Georgia, and how you look coming out of Jacksonville. But I'm like you, I've been very, very impressed with what I've seen thus far.
Now, Ben, look, back when you played, and certainly in the days of Spurrier and Urban, a win in Williams-Brice Stadium over South Carolina may not be that big a deal. But I thought that win, the last time Florida went out there, was a huge thing. Converting those fourth downs, coming back from a 10-point deficit in that environment to win the game, call it turning the corner, whatever you want to call it, that felt like a big win, and it probably gave that team a lot of confidence heading into this Georgia game.
It's huge because I think we have the most true freshmen playing in the country, and no matter who you are. And I think that you have to prove it to yourself. Florida is a team that's never ever going to lack talent. Nobody's going to ever feel sorry for them. But like you said, a 10-point deficit, I don't care who it is, on the road. I mean, Williams-Brice is still a hard place to go in there and win. Shane Beamer is obviously a guy who's definitely the guy for South Carolina, depending on who you ask when it comes to them post-game press conferences. But I was very, very impressed because it took 4 quarters. You dealt with a lot of adversity. It was back and forth. And it's something that Billy Napier said. He said at a certain point, man, you got to look him in the eye. You got to put your hands on him. I was very, very impressed. And shout out to Khalil Jackson, the son of Willie Jackson Jr., the grandson of Willie Jackson Sr., the nephew of Terry Jackson. That Jackson legacy lives on in Florida.
Former Gator All-American tight end Ben Troop here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Speaking of tight ends, Ben, the Gators did not use the tight end position very well in recent years, but all of a sudden now, Boardingham and Hanson, some of the young tight ends playing a big role in this Gator offense.
And I'm very, very happy for him. Arlis Boardingham was a guy that I was really, really fond of. You know, when he signed with Florida, I saw him all during the summer working out. I mean, he's the guy that just waited his time. And you see how athletic he is with the ball in his hand. Really, really smooth. That touchdown catch he had against South Carolina. I mean, to have enough wherewithal to say, "Hey, man, listen, it's kind of thrown over my head. I got you, Graham Mertz." He seemed to be a guy that's finding his niche every single game, and that's what it's gonna take. You know what Ricky Pearsall is, right? You know you got some guys in Wilson and company that's really, really athletic, but you're gonna need a tight end that can create mismatches because guys are gonna be one-on-one. Hopefully he can continue that. I mean, the last time Florida did beat Georgia 2020, even though Kyle Pitts went out in the first half, them tight ends, Zip and company, Gamble, those guys was able to have a really, really big second half. Hopefully those guys can make their presence felt from the opening quarter to the end of the game come Saturday.
Ben, you're starting to see the vision, too, on defense, right? They got a lot of big guys on that defensive line, a lot of athletic freshmen that are playing on that D-line, and we know what's coming in 2024. They just got a 5-star from Daytona Mainland in L.J. McCray this past weekend. So recruiting is great, and they're really building up the lines of scrimmage, and you can really see that vision that Florida has for the defense.
Absolutely, and listen, give a lot of credit to what Billy Napier does in the recruiting game. I mean, people always talk about what makes guys come to Florida. It doesn't get much better than Sean Spence. Captain Chaos got about as much experience as it come being both collegiate as well as in the pros. And guys gonna listen when you saying, hey man, I coached at Penn State, and I coached Leonard Williams and these guys up there with the Jetsons and the Giants and so on and so forth. Why wouldn't a guy want to come to Florida when you see what they building? And I think this young defense is realizing we just can't lose in spite of you. We don't got to win because of you, but you got to be able to keep us in games, that run defense, that pass defense. But if you these young guys coming in saying, hey man, they starting the most true freshmen in college, that's the best recruiting tool you can have. Now I don't know how you feel about that if you're an upperclassman, but if true freshmen can start in the SEC, I had one my senior year by the name of Chris Leak, and I can only imagine what goes through the mind of a true freshman when they saying, hey man, you got me number 1 on the depth chart. Yeah, because you starting this weekend. So I just like what they're doing. They're getting big-time recruits, and that's what Billy Napier does. You can call him what you want to call him. Being top 2, top 3, top 5 in recruiting, those are going to be teams that have something to say about it down the road when it comes to these last team standing.
Former Florida Gator All-American tight end Ben Troop here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Ben, the Georgia Bulldogs, number 1 in the country, haven't looked maybe as dominant as they have in recent years, although the last time out they absolutely destroyed Kentucky. But the one thing about Georgia coming into this game is no Brock Bowers, and you got to wonder how that will affect that Bulldog offense.
It is going to affect. I mean, Brock Bowers has been the best tight end in college football for the last couple of years. I mean, he's a guy that's definitely a mismatch. I mean, if you can go back to that Auburn game where they can figure out, I mean, you got to make sure you cover him. You got a shot to win. It's not that Brock Bowers is going to be was going to be the reason why Georgia won. He's a spark. He is what Kyle Pitts was for Florida when you got tight ends like that. I mean, I'm not the type of guy that like to see guys not play. I'd rather them be there. But for Florida, you already know that Georgia's going to have a plan. The one thing that Georgia has, they have have plenty of talent. So even though Brock Bowers not going to be there, you still going to have to be able to cover, 100 yards, 50, 100 yards long, 50.5 yards of grass. And I think that Coach Armstrong gets to show these young guys what this Georgia game was like. Willie Rich, Brock Bowers could have played. Every time I talk to a Monty Burney, he always talking about that play last year, that 50-50 play on the sideline to where he's seeing the guy run down the sideline when he almost picked it off. But yeah, Brock Bowers not being in the game is going to make it different, but it's going to be different now because this is the first time in a long time we got a quarterback not named Stetson Bennett under center. I know Carson Beck has been really, really good. We'll see how he fares come Saturday.
It's interesting, the Carson Beck dynamic, being from Jacksonville, right? Mandarin High School, he won a state championship at a high school 10 minutes from where I'm talking to you right now. He returns to Jacksonville to play in the cocktail party. That's a cool moment for Carson, no question. But I wonder if there is any added pressure in coming home and playing in a game like this.
Absolutely. Ask anybody. You mentioned, before we came on, you talking to Cedric Faison, Jacksonville boy. You talk about Gus Scott, Jacksonville guy. You talk about a guy in Bam Harmon and Lito Shepard and Jabbar Gaffney. These guys from Jacksonville that grew up either wanting to go to Florida or Georgia, they circle this, game on their calendar. For a guy like Carson Beck, of course it means more because this is bragging rights for him. This is his biggest game because of where he's from and the significance of it. But he also has a streak going on that he had nothing to do with, but he's going to have to do all he can to keep it going. Carson's going to realize that, yeah, man, I grew up watching this game. I've seen Stetson Bennett go out there and perform in this game, but it's different when I'm under center. I can only imagine, being from Jacksonville, getting to play in Jacksonville for either Florida or Georgia. But Carson Beck he's earned it. He sat back. He didn't jump into the transfer portal. He's, when a lot of people thought he would, he's about his time. He's on the number one team in the country. We'll see if he can keep that number one, come Saturday. But he's definitely built for it.
Ben, what needs to happen for the Gators to win the game on Saturday?
Florida going to have to play the same way they did against South Carolina, just with less mistakes. You got to be able to stare Georgia in the face. You got to go back to last year. Coming out of halftime, Florida gets a big touchdown, and that sideline for Georgia is staring at them saying, what is going on? Obviously they go on to get 2 touchdowns in the third and the fourth quarter, but for Florida, you can't flinch, man. You got to look at them and say, hey, we ain't even ranked. They're the number one team in the country. The last time they lost in the regular season was against us. Now, a lot of the guys on the team now had nothing to do with it, but Georgia is the barometer. It doesn't matter how people feel about it. They are the barometer in college football right now, even though Alabama would definitely have something to say about that. For Florida to have a shot to win on Saturday, they got to be able to put points on the board every quarter. They cannot make mistakes. They got to eliminate penalties. And one of these young guys that got freshman next to their name, they're going to have to step up because if you starting on Saturday, no one cares about what your classification is. You got to go out there and make a name for yourself.
Former Gator All-American tight end Ben Troop, and it's interesting the way the schedule is with what's transpired so far in college football. You want to talk about playing spoiler, Florida has 2 gigantic opportunities. One Saturday in Jacksonville against Georgia, and Florida State in a couple of weeks looks like they're going to be undefeated coming to Gainesville. So the Gators, Ben, have a real opportunity to get back on the college football map here over the next month or so.
If you Billy Napier, that's what you want. National relevance can't be because of the school you coach at a player. It's got to be because of how you playing at the school you at. And I think that Billy Napier is getting these guys on the right track. You know how it is, Ryan. It takes a lot of guts to be able to put a bunch of freshmen in. I don't care if the upperclassmen, and people will say, well, you do that to give you an out. No, he's not doing it to give an out. He's doing it to say these guys are good enough to go out there and do it. You talk about momentum. You 5-2, coming off a big win, and up there in South Carolina. You beat Georgia. And I know you still got LSU and Arkansas, but and them boys from Tallahassee coming to town. You beat Georgia and you play the spoiler twice in the season. That's about as much momentum. And people don't want to say this. Florida's right now is number 2 in the East. They control their own destiny down the stretch. I'm not saying that means they're going to go to Atlanta, but if you could even put your hat in the ring and say, man, we had a shot to go to Atlanta in year 2, coming off a 6-7 season the year before, I think that gives Florida Gator fans at least a couple of weeks to kind of get off Billy Napier's back and get it ready for 2024 in the bowl game.
No, that's a great point. A final Gator thought, because I want to get some NFL thoughts with you here in a moment. You, with your podcast, the 84 Reasons podcast, which is fantastic, you obviously are still very prevalent in what's going on in Gator Nation. You talk to a lot of your former teammates and such. Former players, Ben, like yourself, what is your opinion and you guys' opinion of Billy Napier right now?
I like it, man. I like him for this reason. I understand that as a guy who had Ron Zook my last 2 years, patience is a virtue. You look at every great team in college football, not good team. What do they have in common? The head coach has been there a long time. Michigan, head coach been there a long time. Ohio State, head coach been there a long time. Georgia, Alabama, head coach been there a long time. That's the thing. People talk about recruit. I got to have a person that's gonna be there. You know, that way I know what I'm walking into. So I think for a guy like Billy Napier, I keep on saying this, it's because he didn't come from a P5. He comes from Louisiana. If he would have came from an LSU, or if he came from a big-time program to a big-time program. But I like Billy Napier because he's doing it his way. I mean, and he's doing it in recruiting. He's doing a slow and steady approach. Do I think he's ahead of schedule? Yes. But see what happens when you get your guys in? Urban Meyer won in 2006. I mean, he won in 2006 because a lot of those guys got there in 2003. I mean, so when you talk about what it takes, you got to build slowly. You got to show promise, which he's doing. He gonna get a chance, and unfortunately for him, it's a litmus test every single Saturday. But I like Billy Napier, man. I mean, he rolls to the beat of his own drum. He ain't gonna get too high and too low. He's growing up in front of our eyes in these post-game press conferences, and he's getting it done.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of Gator fans would have absolutely taken 5-2 through 7 games of the year. All right, Ben, after your days at Florida, you went on to the National Football League there with the hated Tennessee Titans, at least in these parts. And, Ben, they look like they got problems in Nashville, man. I know you still follow the Titans very closely, being a former Titan player yourself. What's going on in Tennessee? Because their fan base is not happy right now.
I mean, I know that I know that Mr. Derrick Henry would disagree with me. I think it's an identity crisis. I think what happens is you can't lean on a guy like Derrick Henry. I mean, he's going into year 9 or 10, and you're trying to get a new offense, but you don't have any help on the outside. I mean, yes, you went out there and got DeAndre Hopkins. Yes, you got Traylon Burks, but Ryan Tannehill is a guy that he's okay. And you would have thought that he has the most experience in the AFC South. He's not the most talented quarterback in the AFC. That would be the gentleman in your neck of the woods right there in Trevor Lawrence. But you look at what's going on with Houston right now. You look at what's going on in Indy right now. Every other team in the AFC South is showing promise but Tennessee, and they seem to be going backwards. I mean, Mike Vrabel is a guy that's built for what he does, but adjusting is what he's not good at. And I know they got a new GM and my old teammate Rand Carthon, but that's no excuse. People knew in order for them to have any shot this year, you're gonna have to be able to compete with them boys in Jacksonville. You might be competing to be bottom feeders right now in the AFC South. That's taking a huge step back as a guy who understands that the AFC South as a whole is never gonna be the media darling of the NFL. That whole division is not the media darlings. But Jacksonville got something going on with a lot of guys, with 2 guys, main contributors still on rookie contracts, and everybody else they signed in the offseason. I mean, you get an out when you talk about Indy and Houston because they got rookie quarterbacks, even though Anthony Richardson is out for the rest of the year with that shoulder surgery. They're the only AFC South team that doesn't show promise, and they ain't even 50-50 no more as far as like wins and losses. I think with the Titans, it's an identity crisis. It's going to be a long season because a lot of teams that used to get beat up on by Tennessee, they're going to get some get back on them guys. If they can't figure it out real quick, it's going to be an even longer year. I don't know what Vrabel and company is doing, but Rand Carthon, he's going to earn his money in year 1. It's going to be some boo birds coming out of year 2 if you can't make no strides.
Ben Troop, former Gator, All-American tight end. Ben, I mentioned the podcast earlier, man, 84 Reasons. Tell Gator fans here in Jacksonville where they can find it and what they can look forward to.
Oh, man, 84 Reasons, man. Yeah, I mean, you can find it on all listen, anywhere that you can hear your podcast is 2 minutes to name. Also follow me at 84 Reasons on all social media platforms. I got some big guests coming up. I mean, guys like Max Starks and Jabbar Gaffney. I mean, former players. Guys like Arlis Boardingham is coming. I got to get Graham Mertz on. I got to ask Graham Mertz. I mean, who got a deeper voice out of him and Anthony Richardson? These boys got these deep voices. I guess you got to have the deep Barry White voice to be the starting quarterback at Florida. But got some big time coaches coming up here soon, more in the offseason. But yeah, 84 Reasons, no games, no gimmicks, just reason. What's the reason? Make sure you listen in.
Hey, Ben, always appreciate it. Know you're busy this week. Thank you for the time. We'll do it again soon.
All right, Ryan, appreciate it.
I'm Paul Posluszny, and you're listening to the best Jaguars coverage in Jacksonville on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Electricians, innovators, and tech enthusiasts, listen up. Miller Electric is shaping the future, and we want you to be a part of it. From healthcare and data centers, corporate offices, aviation, and industrial facilities, Miller Electric is powering the most exciting projects in Jacksonville and beyond. We offer not just a job, but a thrilling career with great pay and incredible benefits. Visit us at millercareers.com to apply. Miller Electric, where your skills meet our vision and equal opportunity employer.
All right, Jeff, all I need you to say is, hi, I'm Jeff Lagerman, and me and everybody I played professional football with thinks Shark Coatings is the best.
I'm not going to do that.
You can't. What will you say?
Well, I mean, look, the floor is durable, it's easy to clean, it looks fantastic. It's the second time I've used it. What more do I need to say?
I mean, that works too, I guess.
Okay. Can you step off the ladder?
No one's going to know.
Trust me, they'll know. You're not as tall as I. Thanks.
Do you love sports? Do you also love wings? Enjoy the best wings in Jacksonville in Miramar, Mandarin, and Oakleaf at Players Grill. Watch your favorite teams and enjoy burgers, pizza, salads, and of course, wings. Players Grill, where the neighborhood meets.
There's no better time to be a Jags fan, especially when you're a MyGate Rewards member. Gate is giving you the chance to meet the man, Trevor Lawrence. You and 3 of your friends can meet Trevor Lawrence in person at the stadium. Entering is easy. With the MyGate Rewards Gatorade Club, for every 5 Gatorade products you purchase, you'll be entered for a chance to win. See store for details. Gate, your hometown convenience store.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
1010XL is a proud sponsor of Operation New Uniform's 10th Annual Heroes Gala, featuring retired Army Lieutenant Colonel and former Congressman Alan West. Saturday, December 2nd at Sawgrass Marriott. Operation Uniform is a free, life-changing program that helped me, David Trinholm, successfully transition from a 20-year career in the United States Navy to the business world. Join 1010XL and sponsor Operation Uniform's 10th Annual Heroes Gala today. Go to onuvets.org. That's onuvets.org today.
The Florida Forum welcomes former Duke men's basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski November 8th. Funds are raised for a Kids Care Mobile ICU, a neonatal and pediatric critical care transport vehicle. Kids Care vehicles and helicopters safely transport more than 2,250 infants and children a year to Wolfson Children's Hospital. Get your tickets by clicking thefloridaforum.com or call 202-2886, 202-2886 or thefloridaforum.com.
Man, I'm excited for RV City at Florida, Georgia.
But RV Heaven is just down the road. Island Oaks RV Resort.
That's off exit 333, right? Past McClenny?
Yep.
Will my kids like it?
They'll love it. Tons of fall events are coming, like Hocus Pocus Night and Spooky Island Halloween, plus live music and karaoke. You can stay in a cabin right on the premises. It's way cheaper and better than a hotel.
Where can I book our stay?
Visit islandoaksrvresort.com. That's islandoaksrvresort.com.
Looking for quality equipment and a name you can trust? Lepo Rents, Bobcat of Jacksonville is your premier construction equipment dealer and rental house. We have the right equipment for the job, offering the big and small tools needed for your next project. Lepo sells and rents track loaders, excavators, boom lifts, and much more. For your next project, remember Lepo Rents, your authorized Bobcat dealer in Jacksonville. Visit them online at leporents.com.
Hacker here, and look, football season is in full swing, and no game day setup is complete without the Sausage Dude sausage. I'm a sausage guy, and the Sausage Dude sausage is the best sausage I've ever had. Try their 4 terrific flavors, including Polish, Hungarian, beer bratwurst with jalapeno, and my personal favorite, the Italian today, by picking them up at any Publix in the Jacksonville area. Football and sausage, it's a winning combination. Go get the Sausage Dude sausage at any Publix in the Jacksonville area right now.
Discover the difference that local expertise makes at First Coast Lighting and Fans. Visit their showroom at the Avenues and browse high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness at First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Hey Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
World Series Game 1, bottom 3, Arizona and Texas, right? The World Series we all hoped for. The Diamondbacks and the Rangers. D-backs up 3-2, bottom 3, 2 outs in the bottom of the third between Arizona and Texas. Coming up in the 9 o'clock hour here on Hacker After Dark. Towards the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network. We'll talk Jaguars. We'll also look around the AFC South and the AFC as a whole. But coming up next, let's go to Pittsburgh. What's the Steelers side, their perspective of this game on Sunday? Ray Fittipaldo is my guy in Pittsburgh. I've had him on for years. He's with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. We will get his thoughts and the Steeler perspective on Jacksonville and Pittsburgh this Sunday up in the state of Pennsylvania. It is a Friday night edition of Hacker After Dark with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. More college talk, more NFL talk. We're with you till 10 o'clock right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The action. The motion.
You see that acceleration.
Feel the active emotion of live play-by-play.
It's amazing how much energy.
On 1010XL.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what WindoWorld wants you to do. WindoWorld knows there are other window companies out there, but we also know those other guys. When compared to WindoWorld, they can't offer you the quality at the price that WindoWorld can.
And with WindoWorld, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new WindoWorld windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, WindoWorld and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with WindoWorld, and to top it off, WindoWorld windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with WindoWorld. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call WindoWorld today and get your free in-home estimate or see them online at WindoWorldNEFlorida.com.
WindoWorld. Simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
WindoWorld also offers energy-efficient doors.
Unleash automotive excellence at Osteen Volkswagen of Jacksonville. Osteen Volkswagen is not just about cars, it's 27 years of family-owned operation and community. Visit Osteen Volkswagen today on Phillips Highway and at OsteenVW.com.
Meet Bruce.
Hey there.
He's a busy soccer dad who's trying hard to learn the game.
Go for the end zone.
Whoops. Luckily, other things come easy, like banking with Chase. On a tip from his banker, he set up AutoSave in the Chase mobile app. So what are you saving for, Bruce?
Father-daughter soccer camp.
Smart bankers, convenient tools. One bank with the power of both. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
AutoSave requires a Chase checking and savings account. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Summer is ending, and the chill of fall is just around the corner. Is your heating system ready to conquer the upcoming cold nights and frosty mornings? Duck Duck Air Conditioning is here to keep you warm and toasty.
Don't let winter sneak up on you. We're offering a system checkup for only $79 to ensure your heating system is tip-top for the colder days ahead.
Call Duck Duck Air Conditioning at 904-862-6769 to schedule a checkup. Duck Duck Air Conditioning, your trusted feathered friend in home comfort. 904-862-6769.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On October 27, 1984, Washington State University's running back Reuben Mays sets a collegiate football record of 357 rushing yards in one game.
Pastor Joby Martin here with the Church of 1122. We are honored once again to partner with the Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Florida for the Great Futures Weekend, which includes golf and Mackenzie's 5K run at the esteemed TPC Stadium course. Help us continue to honor Mackenzie Wilson's legacy. That's Friday and Saturday, November 17th and 18th. You can golf or you can run. It'll be a great time. Additional info at MackenzieRun.org. Proceeds go to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. Mad Dad's is asking for good, committed men who want to be part of an organization that has been around for 17 years. We are a group that is part of the solution, not the problem. We are a group that don't stand around murmuring and complaining, but get into action and hit the streets to get the community to break the code of silence to remove the murderers off our streets. We do not require a lot of time, just willing and able bodies to get involved. We've had far too many murders this year already not to get involved. If you want to be part of this great organization, call 904-718-1649. We're looking for men, not men acting like boys. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. For information about Mad Dad, go to Mad Dad's Jacksonville Chapter Facebook or MadDadJacksonville.com.
The experts at AMCO have been fixing cars for almost 60 years. Over that time, they've gotten more complex than ever. That's why our techs undergo rigorous training and certifications, so they can fix anything, including the most complicated repairs that come with some of the latest technologies. After 60 years, there's nothing we haven't seen or fixed. It's how we know cars inside and out.
Money tight? We can finance almost anybody. Find the AMCO transmissions nearest you at AMCOJacksonville.com.
What defines a hero? Dedication, loyalty, courage. Every day at AMCO, we serve heroes. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. From complex transmissions to simple brake jobs with flexible financing and the extra safety precautions we need. The heroes we serve don't all wear uniforms. They're people like you. At AMCO, we're proud to serve all of you. AA MCO.
Family owned and operated in Jacksonville, Orange Park, St. Augustine, and St. Mary's, Georgia.
Go to the green every Saturday morning.
Happy learned how to putt.
And get golf tips and talk to help make your golf game more fun on the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Saturday morning at 10 on 1010XL. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Steelers, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear it right here on 1010XL as all of a sudden it's a big game in the AFC. The 5-2 Jaguars travel to take on the 4-2 Pittsburgh Steelers. When it comes to Pittsburgh, our guy up with the Steelers is Ray Fittipaldo. He is with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Ray, how you doing?
Doing really good. Good to be on with you again.
Hey, Ray, always appreciate the time. And all right, 4-2. Just looking at it from a 1,000-mile view, I don't know if people thought Pittsburgh would be 4-2 in the first 6 games from a national basis. Is there any surprise there in Pittsburgh, Ray, about the fast Steelers start here?
No, I think people in Pittsburgh, the expectations were that they would have a team this season that would compete for a playoff spot. But, I think people are surprised that they're 4-2 based on how they've played. And if you look at the stats, they're one of the worst offensive teams in the league. They're down there, I think, 25th or lower in scoring, total offense, passing offense. I mean, pretty much across the board, they are a subpar football team. So they've basically won games with a very opportunistic and stifling defense, and they got a quarterback in Kenny Pickett who has been clutch in fourth quarter situations. They were down to the Ravens. They came back and won that game 17-10. They scored late, I think about a minute to go, to beat the Ravens, and then they did it again against the Rams. They scored 14 points in the fourth quarter to win that game 24-17. So it hasn't been pretty, and to be honest with you, I don't know if it's a sustainable formula, but they are 4-2, and they're just a half a game behind the Ravens in the AFC North.
Ray, one of the things I try to do is I like to watch the opposing coaches' press conference during the week. And, when you go to these websites, most of these press conferences are, 10, maybe 12 minutes at a max. Mike Tomlin held court on Tuesday afternoon for 27 minutes. And I'm watching this guy, and I was enthralled by it. I mean, everything he was breaking down from last week's game to breaking down the entire Jaguar roster. I've always been a Mike Tomlin fan from afar, but watching him do that for darn near a half an hour, is that normal? And, I mean, what's it like covering a great coach like Mike Tomlin?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Mike has been around since 2007, and, he does have a way of holding court, as you said. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to be around him every day. I think he's now in a situation where we're like 15, 16 years into it, that he does have an idea on how to, command himself in press conferences. He has a way with words. If you turn on national TV, they'll sometimes do segments on Tomlinisms and, just his, just the way he speaks. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting being around him. And the other interesting thing about him and the Steelers, and it's kind of always been this way, whether it's been Chuck Noll or Bill Cowher, losing seasons are few and far between. The Steelers might not be a Super Bowl contender every year, but Tomlin always finds a way to keep them at least in the discussion for the playoffs. So I think they're going to be that type of team again. I think they're a 9-8, 10-7 type of a team. And, when it all shakes out here in early January, we'll see if that's good enough to get them in.
Ray Fittipaldo of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette here with us on 1010XL. The Jaguars and the Steelers Sunday up in Pittsburgh at 1 o'clock. You mentioned Kenny Pickett. I know there were some up and downs his rookie year, but watching Kenny Pickett again from afar, Ray, you certainly watch it a lot closer than I do, but it looks like he's doing well, particularly in the second half. Maybe that's his biggest flaw, some slow starts, but certainly he has ended games very well this year.
It's uncanny. He can look so bad for 3 quarters. I want to say he had like 75 yards passing through the first 3 quarters of that Rams game. And then he and the entire Steelers offense, they lighted up in the fourth quarter. They almost had 200 yards of offense in the fourth quarter alone when they had their big run to win that game. So obviously the Steelers would like to figure out a way for him to start faster. They'd like to figure out a way for the offense overall to start faster, because it's not just the Kenny Pickett problem. It's the running game hasn't been getting going early in games. So that's been an issue too. But it's been proven here. If you go back to even last season when the Steelers won 7 of their final 9 games, if you let the Steelers hang around, more often than not, they're going to find a way to beat you. So the only times they've lost, this season or going back to late last season, if teams got up big on them and they got it into their type of a football game. But if you get into a rock fight with the Steelers and they're within a score in the fourth quarter, you're probably going to be in trouble.
Yeah, talking about that Steeler offense, 2 guys we're very familiar with down here in SEC territory, Najee Harris, the former Alabama Crimson Tide running back, and George Pickens, the former Georgia wide receiver who starred in the cocktail party down here, Florida, Georgia, for a couple of years. Now he's doing his thing up in Pittsburgh. Ray, how would you assess both Najee Harris and George Pickens to this point?
Yeah, George is coming into his own. I think he could be a top 10, top 15 type of receiver in the NFL. He is that talented. He's big, he's got speed, and he's got great hands too. So he's the entire package. And I think you're slowly seeing him develop into the Steelers' number 1 receiver. They have Deontay Johnson, who's been around for a while. They're different types of receivers, but I think George has had 2 consecutive 100-yard receiving games. That's the type of player he is. I think that's going to continue. And as far as Najee goes, first-round pick back in 2021, he hasn't played behind a great offensive line yet here. So I think his value probably has been diminished because of that. And he's also splitting time now with Jaylen Warren, who's an undrafted free agent out of Oklahoma State. He's in his 2nd season. And Jaylen is just a little bit quicker. He hits the hole faster, and he's a little bit more explosive in the passing game. So it's kind of a time-sharing situation now. I think Najee is still really good for the Steelers. He kind of brings that downhill demeanor with him. He's a tough and physical football player. But I think you're starting to see with Harris and Warren kind of like a situation you had in Dallas for the last couple of years with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. There was some question, who's better, Pollard or Elliott? And there's that same question here, who's better, Warren or Harris? I think the bottom line is, the way the Steelers look at it for at least this season, they need both of those guys to succeed. For right now, Warren is more of a third down back, the guy who's going to spell them. But, Harris is in a situation where he's sharing some time with Jaylen Warren.
couple of more for Ray Fittipaldo. He's our guy up in Pittsburgh when it comes to the Steelers. Again, the Steelers and the Jaguars Sunday at 1 o'clock. Former Jaguar Allen Robinson is also a member of this Pittsburgh football team, Ray. He's getting up there in age a little bit, but how has A-Rob done so far this year?
I thought Allen had a good training camp. But as you mentioned, he's getting older. He hasn't produced a lot with the Steelers. He's their number 3 receiver, but in reality, when Pat Freiermuth is healthy, and Freiermuth is their top tight end, he's on IR now. But when Freiermuth is healthy, really Robinson is kind of like the 4th or the 5th target in this offense. So he did have a big catch in the 4th quarter. He extended his streak for catches in games, and it was a big one. It was a 3rd down conversion on their final drive that helped them win that game. But he's just not a volume type receiver at this stage of his career. Hopefully for the Steelers, he can come on a little bit and give them a little bit more in the passing game. But in acquiring him from the Rams for, I think it was just a late round pick, this is probably going to be his only season with the Steelers.
To the Steeler defense, it obviously starts with T.J. Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Highsmith's a great player. Patrick Peterson has done very well for Pittsburgh. That Steeler defense has gotten after it 6 games in. You could call them opportunistic, and you're exactly right. I watched that Baltimore game, and that was crazy, some of the things that went on in the 4th quarter. How would you assess the Steeler defense to this point?
Yeah, it's almost like they need one big play or 2 big plays from the defense each game if they're going to win. And they've gotten that a lot this year. You saw T.J. Watt in the Rams game. He dropped in the coverage. That interception totally turned that game around for the Steelers. That was a big momentum boost for them. They were losing 9-3 at the time, and that put them in position to take the lead early in the 3rd quarter. And then, they've done it throughout the season. In that Browns game, they had 2 defensive touchdowns, one from Watt and one from Alex Highsmith, to help them win that game. I think they won that game 26-22. And I can tell you right now, they're not going to win it without both of those defensive touchdowns. So, they're a little bit leaky against the run with Cam Hayward out. They struggle in that aspect, but they can get after the passer and they can make timely plays, and that's a big reason why the Steelers are 4-2 at this point in the season.
Ray, I know it's somewhat early in the week. We're still a few days away from game day, but what is the general thought up there among you, your colleagues, even the fans, about the 5-2 Jaguars rolling in?
Yeah, I think everyone up here acknowledges them as being the best team in the AFC South. I think they'll be facing Trevor Lawrence for the first time. I think this is the first game between the Steelers and Jaguars, I think, since the 2020 season. So they haven't had a chance to go, to go up against Lawrence yet. So, I think that'll be, an interesting aspect of this game. I think, he's trending towards being probably a top, 7 to 10 quarterback in this league with a really good chance of being a top 5 guy at some point in the not too distant future. And he's got weapons too. So, I think the Steelers fans know that they're a good football team. It's interesting. This is the first of 3 consecutive home games for the Steelers. That doesn't happen too lot with the NFL schedule makers. So with the position they're in now, 4-2, got a chance to be 6-3 or 7-2. And I think this is a big, this is a big one in there. They got the Titans and the Packers after that. If they can win this one, they could take a big step in, maybe establishing themselves as a true playoff contender. But, we'll see what happens Sunday. I think the Jags are going to be a very formidable foe.
Yeah, it's interesting for Pittsburgh. Jacksonville comes in on Sunday, then Pittsburgh's right back at home on Thursday against our arch rival, the Tennessee Titans. So a couple of AFC South teams rolling into Pittsburgh in a 4-day stretch. Ray, as we begin to wrap up, man, we had you on in the offseason, and we were talking about the AFC North, and I think we all knew it was going to be good, but good grief. Some teams have played 6 games, others 7, but clearly, Ray, to this point, the AFC North is the best division in the National Football League.
Yeah, you know what the funny thing is? The Bengals haven't played well yet. They got that situation with Burrow and his calf. I don't think they've played at all like people thought they were going to. And the Browns are doing what they're doing without good quarterback play. How good would they be, if Deshaun Watson was even an average player? They're kind of doing it all with defense right now. So, I mean, I don't think there's ever been a division where 4 teams have made it. That would be crazy, but I don't think it's out of the question if you could have, the winner of this division could have 11 wins and the last place team could have 8 or 9 wins. I think that's how close it is. It's that close now, and I don't think it's going to change much here in the final 12 weeks of the season.
And the interesting thing for the Jaguars, they play all of them coming up. They play Pittsburgh on Sunday, and then I believe they have 3 straight against Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Baltimore at the end of November and the beginning of December. Ray Fittipaldo of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Ray, leading up to the game, there were a lot of Steeler fans down here in Jacksonville. Where can they find your work? What can they expect there at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette?
Yeah, you can check my stuff out at post-gazette.com. I also tweet out a lot of stuff on my Twitter handle at RayFit1. So, lots of Steelers, Jags coverage this week coming up, and should be a good ball game on Sunday.
Ray, appreciate the time, man. Know you're busy. Let's hope we have a good one between the Jaguars and the Steelers, and we'll talk soon, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Always enjoy it.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous, don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From roll and lock bed covers to Lear toppers to cam locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
Get ready for big hair and big hits with Warrant.
Sweet cherry pie.
November 3rd at Thrasher Horn Center. Spend the night in rock heaven.
Heaven isn't too far away.
Warrant, featuring 4 original members finely tuned in tip-top musical form. Warrant, playing the hits. See Warrant at Thrasher Horn Center. Get your tickets now.
David here with Royal Pest Services. The cool down is coming, and with that comes the pesky rodent. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to schedule a complimentary roof and attic inspection to check for access points and any evidence of previous activity. Now offering military and first responder discounts.
One of college football's most storied programs.
It's a legacy of greatness. I'm RJ Saunders, and I'll take the Tomahawk to Tallahassee.
Brought to you by your local Ag Pro, your home team on 1010XL.
To be our best selves, we need to take care of our whole self. That includes your spirit, mind, and your body. At the First Coast YMCA, our members find balance in spirit, mind, and body with unlimited group exercise classes, adult sports league, health coaching, and programs designed for chronic disease prevention. And when the Jaguars win, you win. We're waiving the joining fee the day after a Jaguars win, all season long. Use promo code DUVAL or visit the First Coast YMCA near you and find your why at fcymca.org.
1010XL is a proud sponsor of Operation New Uniform's 10th Annual Heroes Gala, featuring retired Army Lieutenant Colonel and former Congressman Alan West. Saturday, December 2nd at Sawgrass Marriott. Operation Uniform is a free, life-changing program that helped me, David Trenholm, successfully transition from a 20-year career in the United States Navy to the business world. Join 1010XL and sponsor Operation Uniform's 10th Annual Heroes Gala today. Go to onuvets.org, that's onuvets.org today.
Why live with foot or ankle pain? If you have persistent pain, numbness, tingling, burning pain on the bottom of your foot, or swelling that doesn't improve with home treatment, it may be time to see Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Our foot and ankle specialists have innovative new options to help you get back in the swing of things without persistent pain that slows you down. Call JOI 2000 or go to joionline.net for an appointment.
Life's not complete without music.
Friday, November 10th, 8 p.m. at Players Grill Mandarin, Julia Gulia takes the stage with unforgettable performances from the 90s, 2000s, and originals. It's not your average cover band. Players Grill Mandarin, where the neighborhood meets.
Want even more excitement on game day? It's time to get it on Prize Picks, the best way to win big on fantasy sports. Here's how it works. You just pick 2 to 6 players and choose which will have the better statistical day. If you get it right, you can win up to 25 times your cash. It's quick and easy to make your picks, and with fast and safe deposits and withdrawals, Prize Picks is the place to play this season. Prize Picks has awesome weekly promotions, and they're the only daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, keeping you in the game even if one of your players goes down. Sweat it out, watch your entry update in real time, and continue the fun by making picks on second half and fourth quarter stats. Take your game day experience to the next level with Prize Picks. And right now, when you go to prizepicks.com/1010XL and use code 1010XL, Prize Picks is matching your first deposit up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/1010XL with code 1010XL for a 100% deposit match. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician, Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Establishing a regular sleeping pattern is crucial for your well-being. This includes going to bed at roughly the same time every night and waking up around the same time every morning. You may even consider turning off all electronic devices an hour before bedtime. Ever wonder why you can't fall asleep after staring at your phone right before bed? Studies show that the light from your phone actually decreases melatonin production, therefore causing disruptions to your sleep throughout the night. Get some rest before the big game. Go Jags.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville, let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Steelers, Sunday, 1 o'clock up in Pittsburgh. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL in what all of a sudden is a very big game in the American Football Conference. Let's talk Jags, let's talk AFC South, and let's look around the AFC as a whole with Dalton Miller. He's one of our guys from Pro Football Network, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Dalton, how you doing?
Fantastic, and I hope you guys are doing well in Florida as well.
We are, and look, you and I talked right towards the tail end of the preseason, and a lot has happened for the Jaguars in 7 weeks, right? 1-2, and you're scratching your head like, what's going on, including a 20-point loss to Houston. And then all of a sudden, Dalton, they won 4 games in 19 days and now sit 5-2 for the first time since 2007. So, in totality, your thoughts on the Jaguars so far this year?
I think the Jags are one of the more interesting teams in the NFL, and it's just because I don't really understand them. The offense has honestly kind of underwhelmed me, and it's just because, you know, when I look at them, I look at Trevor Lawrence, I look at Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne as well. I see all of these weapons. And then I just see a young quarterback who I think is still improving. I think he's fantastic. But I think that what they have done for him on the offensive line, or the lack thereof, you know, with a young guy at right tackle, Walker Little at left tackle to start, then Cam Robinson, and then, you know, Walker Little coming in the left guard. And it's been a little bit of a whirlwind on that offensive line. And when I look at this offense, I look at a team that could be incredibly efficient. But because Trevor Lawrence isn't trusting that offensive line, there's a lot of one read and runs, and I'm glad that he is using his athleticism the way that I think that he should be. But I think that overall, I'm still looking for the explosiveness out of this offense. When you look at Lawrence at the end of the day, he's, you know, 17 for 24, 25, you know, 21 for 30, but it's for 210 yards, 220 yards. The lack of explosiveness, I think, is difficult over the course of time because this league is built on being able to create explosive plays and being able to score fast, because it's the only reliable way to score in the NFL. But on the flip side, this defense has been way better than I expected. And I love that they brought back almost the entire defense, if not all of their starters from last year. And they brought that continuity back. And I think that more than anything else, even though I think that overall there's a little bit of a talent discrepancy between them and some of the other better defenses in the NFL, I think that this is a team that knows what they're doing, knows what the guy beside them is doing, and they're incredibly well coached and very well mannered on the back end as well. I think it's been a lot of fun to watch, on top of that pass rush starting to get home a little bit.
Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Dalton, I agree with you about the offense, and I guess the silver lining here, or the positive spin that we're putting on it, and I don't really even think it's a spin, I mean, I think it's factual, is I don't think that offense has played near what they're capable of, and they're still 5-2, right? And you look at their wins, all of a sudden they beat Atlanta, right? Well, Atlanta's 4-3 and leading the division. They beat Buffalo. Buffalo might be not as good as people thought, but Buffalo is a 4-3 football team. They swept Indianapolis, and Indy's other 2 losses came in overtime to the Rams and on a heartbreaker yesterday on Sunday to get to Cleveland. So you really look in totality about the Jaguar wins, and they haven't beaten a 1-win team or a 2-win team. All of their 5 wins have come against teams with at least 3 wins so far this year.
Yeah, and you look at it, the Houston Texans are a much better football team than I think anybody gave them credit for at the beginning of the season. I thought that they could kind of start to get things going towards the end of the year, but C.J. Stroud looks like a legitimate superstar in the making at quarterback. And then the Indianapolis Colts, even though, they lost Anthony Richardson, I think Shane Steichen might be the best offensive mind in the NFL. Mike McDaniel is fantastic, but Mike McDaniel also has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Tua Tagovailoa and all of that speed on offense. When you look at what Shane Steichen did in L.A. When Justin Herbert was a rookie, and then you have him with young Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia for 2 seasons, what he was able to do with that offense and that run game, and they're able to do that with Indianapolis. I think the Colts are a better football team than we thought. The Texans are a better football team than we thought. And then when you look at the Titans, they just still kind of bang around and survive somehow, even though nothing goes right for that football team from an injury perspective, from an offensive structural standpoint. They just seem to win football games when they shouldn't. And they remind me actually a lot of the Jacksonville Jaguars' next opponent, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, speaking of Pittsburgh, all of a sudden, Dalton, it's a big game on Sunday, right? The Jaguars at 5-2, the Steelers at 4-2. The Jaguars had the mini bye, if you will. They'll have 3 extra days rest, although Pittsburgh has already had their bye week, so they are not really all that banged up either. I mean, this should be a good one on Sunday in Pittsburgh. Yeah, like I said, I don't know how Mike Tomlin does it. I don't know what deal he made with whoever he made it with, but it's just a team that is impervious to underperforming. And this is an offensive line that is not very good. It's a quarterback who is still kind of running away from pressure and playing skittish. But then they come out in 2 or 3 drives a game offensively. They actually look like they know what they're doing. They go down and score. That defense is able to turn the ball over at a really high rate. They have some really big disruptors in T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. And, that secondary, I think, is ripe for the picking. Defensively, I don't think that they're very good. But those guys get to the quarterback so quickly that it doesn't seem to matter. And they just have the ball fall their way so often. I mean, T.J. Watt made an unbelievable interception against Matthew Stafford. He just baited him into that throw. But you see just, some of these strip sack fumbles that they have bouncing up in T.J. Watt's hands, and he returns it for a touchdown. The ball just seems to go Pittsburgh's way. And when you look at the Jaguars so far this season, I think that they've done a lot of shooting themselves in the foot offensively. I think that Lawrence being able to get the ball out very quickly is going to kind of mitigate that pressure that Pittsburgh puts on the edges. He's just got to get it out. He's got to make good decisions, and that offense overall has to not needlessly turn the ball over against Pittsburgh if they want to win next week. Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network. It's interesting, Dalton. I know how active you are on social media, so I'm assuming you saw this. You talk about the young quarterbacks in the AFC, right? There's a little moxie with Joe Burrow. He's got a little attitude to him. Josh Allen, same thing. Even Mahomes has a little moxie to him. And I don't really know if we've seen that from Trevor Lawrence until Saturday afternoon when he's getting crushed by Richard Sherman, saying, Sherman was basically saying, quite frankly, Trevor wasn't very good on the Amazon pregame show. And then, guys like Chris Broussard, who I take with a grain of salt, some of the things he's said, but he's been very critical of Trevor. So Trevor goes on social media and basically says, analysts keep saying what you want to.
we'll keep finding ways to win. Obviously, a little chip on the shoulder, maybe, for Trevor Lawrence, a little motivation. It's just something we haven't seen from him in his 3-year career to this point.
Yeah, I think he kind of spoke out one time before, but he's just pretty quiet overall. He's not somebody who really goes out of his way to make a splash. He's kind of always been quiet, even dating back to when he was the second coming at the University of Clemson. So I do like to see a little bit of the fire, especially when it is warranted. You've seen guys, even like Dak Prescott in Dallas, who has been incredibly quiet, always saying the right things year in and year out, never really causing a stir, starting to get a little bit testy with the media this year and kind of going out and saying, like, listen, I'm done talking about last year. If you guys want to keep talking about it, you can, but I'm not going to answer questions about it. I'm not going to go out there and throw 15 interceptions again. That conversation is over. And I think that, these athletes, they hear it. They try to, let it go. They try to just drown it all out. But you see it, you hear it, and if you hear it enough, you're going to get tired of it. And I think that in the modern media, with the way that things have gone, since the First Takes and those kinds of shows have really gotten prevalent, I think that it's become easier for these analysts to devolve down to personal attacks. You should never, as an analyst, somebody that is on network television, say that a guy sucks. Even if they do suck, you shouldn't be saying that. And I think that the athletes are starting to flip the script a little bit and come back at these guys personally and say, listen, keep my name out of your mouth. I'm winning football games. You're not playing right now. So I think that you're going to start seeing that. You saw it with Jerry Jeudy and Steve Smith the other week, and Judy's been a little bit of an underwhelming performer at the NFL level so far. But you can't go out there and talk crazy in national media and expect these guys to sit here and be your friend when you're trying to be their friend pregame.
Couple of more for Dalton Miller of Pro Football Network. The Jaguars and the Steelers, Sunday, 1 o'clock. You'll hear it right here on 1010XL. Dalton, I want to look around the AFC. Before we get there, the Jaguars are a game and a half clear of the field in the division. Houston right now, amazingly, appears to be their biggest competition. Can Houston do this for an entire year? I mean, they're one of the biggest surprises of the season at 3-3. Can they keep this going for a 17-game season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that defense is going to continue to get better with DeMeco Ryans, kind of architecting it. And C.J. Stroud, as long as he continues to play the way that he is, I mean, the anticipation and timing and accuracy, precision that he is playing with has been unbelievable. And I was a huge fan of C.J. Stroud coming out. He was actually my quarterback one in the NFL draft, and he's just absolutely blown away even the expectations that I had for him. So if he can continue to play on that level, I think that that's a football team that can really surprise people and push for, that 7th spot in the AFC playoffs. I don't think that they really have a great shot to win the division just because I think that Jacksonville is good enough to hold up and win the division even with a kind of a tough schedule, with Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Baltimore in the back half of the year. They still have some really winnable games as well, and I think they're going to be able to do enough. Even if this offense doesn't turn into what it was towards the end of the season, I think that Jacksonville kind of briskly walks away with this division.
When we look around the AFC, Dalton, is it panic time in Buffalo and in Los Angeles with the Chargers?
With the Chargers, it absolutely is. When it comes to the Bills, I don't know, because they've been so consistently good over the past couple of seasons. It's really tough losing guys like Matt Milano and Tre'Davious White, especially when you're already kind of having questions at CB2. So the offense is going to have to step it up. And I think if we've seen anything with that Buffalo Bills offense, is that they can go on stretches 3, 4, 5 games where they look like the best offense in the NFL. And then they'll have a 2-game stretch where Josh Allen just absolutely loses his mind. And I think that when you look at that offense and the inconsistency of it, it's why that they haven't been able to get to the promised land in the playoffs. But I think that those issues are kind of multiplying right now. And I think that that's a football team that is going to really have to push to win that division come January.
And with the Chargers, does Brandon Staley survive the year?
I think he survives till the end of the year, but I do not believe that he will be their coach next year.
And, yeah, they are one of the biggest disappointments, clearly, in the National Football League to this point. All right, the top of the conference. Kansas City 6-1. You got Miami, Baltimore, Jacksonville, all at 5-2. And then you got other teams, certainly Cincinnati looks like they found themselves at 3-3. You got Pittsburgh at 4-2. Cleveland is probably better than people thought. Who are the biggest, 2 or 3 challengers to Kansas City as you see it right now?
Ooh, I think Miami, just because of that offense, when it is on, it is unbelievably good. It's better than any offense I've ever seen. It's incredibly explosive, efficient, and once they get Devin Achane back, it's going to be really difficult for teams to stop them. Cleveland, that defense is, again, one of the best defenses I've seen. Obviously, they didn't have a very good game yesterday, but before that, they were unbelievable. I just don't think that they have the quarterback play to really be a legitimate contender. I think Baltimore is the second-best team in the AFC. I picked them to play the Kansas City Chiefs in the conference championship, in my preseason predictions, and I'm sticking to that. Mike McDonald and that defense, it's probably the second-best defense in the NFL. Lamar Jackson looks so much more comfortable in the pocket now that he actually has some receivers to work with. And Mark Andrews is still, I think, the second-best receiving tight end in the NFL. So they have the weapons. That defense is unbelievable. They just have to not deal with the silly turnovers on offense that the Baltimore Ravens seem to do. And then stay healthy, which is something that Baltimore also hasn't been able to do the past couple of seasons. And then Jacksonville's right there with them. I think that, they're the kind of the fourth team in the AFC right now, behind KC, behind Baltimore, and behind Miami. But if that offense really gets clicking offensively, I think that they can be that second or third best team in the AFC.
Dalton, we're out of time. We got 60 seconds to go. The trade deadline is coming up next week. A lot of rumors, right? A lot of swirling out there. How active do you believe it actually will be?
I think that the NFL is trying to take some of the thunder from the NBA and start to really use the trade deadline to its advantage. I think you look at Philadelphia, they're always going to be a player in the trade deadline. And I think more general managers are starting to get a little bit more aggressive when it comes to trading day 3 picks for starting caliber players. And they might be on expiring contracts, but it's absolutely worth it if you can upgrade your unit for, 2 months and push for the playoffs.
Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network. He's one of our favorites here on 1010XL. Dalton, appreciate it, man. Know you're busy. We'll talk again real soon.
Thanks for having me.
Now, today's takeaways, brought to you by Key Buick GMC, where our family dealership has been helping families buy vehicles for over 50 years.
And thank you to Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, for joining us tonight here on a Friday night edition of Hacker After Dark. My big takeaways from the evening. Well, there are a couple. Number one, obviously, Jaguars and Steelers. We've talked about it all week. Huge game in the AFC. The Jaguars win this one, get to 6-2 on the year, heading into a bye week. My gracious, get some of those injured guys back, like Zay Jones, Walker Little, etc., leading into San Francisco in 2 weeks. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Pittsburgh's a good team. They're finding ways to win. You could argue Pittsburgh hasn't played their most complete game yet, and despite that, they're still 4-2 with some nice wins, including beating Baltimore a couple of weeks ago. So there is no doubt the Jaguars will have their hands full. I'm going to go Jacksonville to win it. I think it's a fourth quarter game. I think the Jaguars find a way to get it done, and if they do and get to 6-2, what a great 2-week stretch it'll be here in the city of Jacksonville. And, of course, the cocktail party tomorrow. We're about to send you out with the great Larry Munson's call of Lindsey Scott back in 1980, Florida and Georgia at the cocktail party. I know all you folks at RV City are getting after it right now. I like the Dogs to win. I like Florida to cover, though. It's a 14.5-point line. I would take Florida in 14.5. I think, again, a fourth quarter game. I think Georgia wins the game 31-20, 34-23, something along those lines. But it is certainly a game to me in the fourth quarter. Well, that'll just about do it, man. It has been a very busy week here on Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.7 FM. We have a ton of people to thank tonight. Again, Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network. Always enjoy his knowledge coming on with us here on Hacker After Dark. Thank you to former Florida Gator, All-American tight end Ben Troop for joining us. Always enjoy the conversation with Ben. Gator fans, check out his podcast, 84 Reasons. He does a terrific job with that podcast. I want to thank Ray Fittipaldo of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette to give us the Steelers side of the Jaguars and the Steelers coming up on Sunday. And, of course, my friend Cecil Shorts, former Jaguar wide receiver. You get him every week here on Hacker After Dark, and we certainly appreciate Cecil taking time out for us tonight. Busy weekend here on the radio station, Florida, Georgia. Tomorrow, you'll have it right here on 1010XL, kickoff at 3:30. And, of course, the Jaguars and the Steelers Sunday at 1 o'clock. Our pregame coverage will begin at 8 a.m. We will take you up through the game broadcast. And then myself, the head coach Dave Campo, and the Pro Bowler Leon Searcy will have the fifth quarter for you. Live from 9 Ball Heaven Sports Grill and Billiards on University Boulevard. We will be on 2 hours after the Jaguars and the Steelers go final. And we certainly hope you do join us. And we hope we are talking about a Jaguar victory on Sunday evening. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for not only tonight, but spending all week with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM. Enjoy the Jaguars and the Steelers on Sunday. Enjoy the world's largest outdoor cocktail party tomorrow. And with that as a backdrop, we will send you out, as we do every year here on 1010XL, with the great call from 1980, the legendary Larry Munson and Lindsey Scott. Georgia fans in RV City, turn it up. Have a great weekend, Jacksonville.
Back third down on the 8. In trouble. Got a block behind him. Gonna throw and a run. Complete to the 25, to the 30. Lindsey Scott 35, 40. Lindsey Scott 45, 50, 45, 40. Run, Lindsey. 25, 20, 50, 10, 5. Lindsey Scott. Lindsey Scott. Lindsey Scott. I can't believe it. 92 yards, and Lindsey really got in a foot race. I broke my chair. I came right through a chair, a metal steel chair with about a 5-inch cushion. I broke it. The booth came apart. The stadium fell down. Now they do have to renovate this thing. They'll have to rebuild it now. This is incredible. You know, this game has always been called the world's greatest cocktail party. Do you know what is going to happen here tonight? And up at St. Simon's and Jekyll Island and all those places where all those dog people have got these condominiums for 4 days. Man, is there going to be some property destroyed tonight. 26-21. Dogs on top. We were gone. I gave up. You did too. We were out of it and gone. Miracle.
The best time of the year for blue crabs, right now at the Blue Crab Crab House. They've been open since 1996, and they are a staple here in Duval. Sundays, you have the Bloody Mary special.